A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyid al-mursaleen. Wa khatam al-nabiyyin. Rahmatal alameen. Allahumma salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin abdika wa rasulika nabiyya ummi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa salam. Amma ba'ad. Alhamdulillah for Islam. Alhamdulillah for the ibadah that has been prescribed for us. Tell me you don't feel better after making a sincere salat. I mean, one that has khushu, one that has ikhlas. Tell me you don't get up and your back feels just a little bit better. Your knees don't hurt so bad. I still got a bullet in my back, right? So I experience back pain. But there's something about that ruku that even while I'm magnifying the praises of my Lord, you know, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim, Subhana Rabbi al-Azim wa bihamdi, you know, and I'm acknowledging that the glory belongs to my Lord, the most great. To him belongs the praise. I'm acknowledging this in my prayer. You know, and my body's positioned in just a way that I can feel it stretch. Now, mind you, my focus and my spiritual sincerity is to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I also feel that part of that mercy that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has extended to us is that just the right way, my back doesn't hurt so much. You know, I stand up and I go for a walk and I do the necessary things, but salat, I said this the other day, has both physical as well as spiritual and mental, cognitively, you know what I'm saying? It has effects and they're all positive. They're all positive. Anybody that takes a little bit of time and does some research on the health benefits of salat, you're gonna be surprised. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe you won't if you already know what you know, but for those who don't know, do the research, man. These phones, they put, you're really at the grasp of so much beneficial knowledge. The only thing is you run the risk of being attacked and bombarded by, you know, negativity. You know what I'm saying? And you know, depending on where you're at in your iman, it could be a distraction, you know what I'm saying? So you just have to be mindful, you know what I'm saying? You have to be mindful when using the phone, when using these, you know, searching for things online, and you know what I'm saying? Because you can find anything, you know. But let me encourage you though. Let me encourage you. I'm so grateful, you know, I'm so grateful. Here I am, you know what I'm saying? You know, I love to show that off because I was just, you know, downtown Albany, you know what I'm saying, prior to jail, you know what I'm saying, prior to jail, living in the projects, you know what I mean? Sometimes being stuck outside till my fingers hurt from the cold, you know what I mean? But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a divine decree. And that's why almost nothing catches me by surprise. Like, you know what I'm saying, as grateful as I am to be sitting at this pond, you know what I'm saying, in the backyard of the crib, as grateful as I am for that, you know what I'm saying, I'm not that surprised. Because which of the favors of your Lord are you going to deny? You know what I'm saying? And also acknowledge that you might not deserve it. You know, I might have had a lesson to learn through that suffering. And I did suffer. Believe me, I suffered. You know, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His rahmah has never left me alone. You know, even in my struggle, you know, there was always enough to eat somehow. You know what I mean? There was a wealth of negativity, but there was always something to eat. There was always something to bathe. You know what I mean? I had opportunity after opportunity to be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And whether I choose to or not, you know what I'm saying, that depended my eventual circumstance. You know what I'm saying? Alhamdulillah for Islam. Alhamdulillah for the qadr of Allah, the lahu mafiz. You know what I'm saying? It's not that hard to imagine, really. You know, it's not that hard to picture, you know, a blueprint for your life based on the decisions that you make, you know what I'm saying, and the accountability that follows thereafter. You know what I mean? It's not that difficult. So if you're anything like me, you know what I mean, you need to focus on the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His mercy outweighs his wrath. He is as his servant thinks of him. That being the case, think well of your Lord, but also hold yourself accountable. You know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm listening to teachers like Abu Taymiyyah, Ustad Abu Taymiyyah, Sheikh Muhammad Hoblos, of course, Mufti Mink, you know what I mean? Abu Khadija, and their nasiha, their advice, you know what I mean, is to follow those generations that were still close enough to the Prophet to adhere to the teachings. I've been studying Islam for over 20 years now. I took my Shahada in 2003. You know what I mean? And that path, this journey that I've been on, you know what I'm saying? I've obviously become in touch with, things that, not all knowledge is beneficial. You feel me? Not all knowledge is beneficial. That's why you gotta be careful. You know what I mean? That's why you gotta be careful what you take from. You know what I mean? But if you verify, if you can find out and verify, because whenever they quote something, they tell you where to find it. They tell you where to find it in Quran al-Karim, or they tell you where to follow it. They tell you where to find it in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Tirmidhi, Dawood, Nasai, Riyadh al-Salihin. You know what I mean? These authentic narrations that go hand in hand with making you and me better Muslims. Alhamdulillah for Islam. Strive to hold yourself accountable. And then once the fard becomes easy, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes that easy for you. Once the fard becomes easy, the wajib, once those become easy, when you find yourself, not being able to go to sleep without making witr, you know what I'm saying, laying down, you know what I mean, I don't really, but your spirit's not resting until you make that witr. When you find that the wajib becomes easy, enact some sunnahs. 2 rakats before Fajr. You know what I'm saying? Do that. 2 rakats after Maghrib. You know what I'm saying? So start light, man. Don't overwhelm yourself. Inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for you and me. Ya Rab, have an attitude of gratitude. Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala right now that you have been blessed with Al-Islam. Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for making me Muslim. Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for writing in my decree that after hardship go with ease, and that I would always find ease in Islam. In the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find rest. Thank you, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has no partners, no offspring. His tawheed is intact. His oneness should be glorified. And I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for putting me on the path of the sunnah, helping me to learn what the sunnah actually is. Allahumma thumma ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, Muslims. Juma Mubarak. Peace.